What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin, John.
And we have an album review for you, and one that we have been anticipating since this is the first full length from this band in about 14 years. We are going to go over the latest offering from Severe Torture, Torn from the Jaws of Death. This comes out on the 7th of June on Season of Mist Records. This band formed in 1997 in the Netherlands. This is their sixth full length overall. First, again, in 14 years. They kind of had a long hiatus after the absolutely awesome album Slaughtered, which is just vicious as hell. Now, as I said, this is their first full length. In 2022, they dropped their Fisting the Sockets EP. What a lovely title for that. We actually went over it and was like, I was stoked to actually hear more from this band again, and it was vicious as hell, so naturally we were stoked for this. And for those that aren't familiar with Severe Torture, get familiar. They're just a flat-out awesome death metal / brutal death metal band. They kind of walk the line between the two. It's fast, it's vicious, it's blasty, it's riffy. It's kind of all the things we like about death metal.
Yep. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's not much more to say after that. It's everything I like about death metal in rapid-fire form. Just non-stop, in-your-face, brutal, awesome death metal. And the first track, The Death of Everything, is just that. This not only kicks down the door, but it takes its entire body and just heaves itself through the door.
Yeah.
Fast, blasty, tremolo grooves. I mean, it's off to the races. No holes barred.
I will say that this album is slightly different than maybe some past efforts where, there's a good balance of just blasts and groove. This album, for the most part, moves fast, and it is unreal in its level of aggression and syncopation. This thing is just possibly the tightest thing that they have released. There's lots of heavy syncopation, lots of thrashy breaks, and just intricate, twisting, heavy, brutal as hell riffs. But at the same time, these guys know how to work in melody and hooks so well, and it's always been a strength of this band. No matter how absolutely savage this band gets, there's still just great hooks, great melodic tags, good harmonized riffs, and it doesn't take away from the sheer brutality of any of their albums, including this one.
And we just saw them do it live at MDF.
Now, this is very comparable to other Dutch death metal acts, mainly Sinister, very close to Sinister, and I would even say, even though they are not Dutch, they're European at least, Blood Red Throne, albeit faster. This is Blood Red Throne after they just ingested a kilo of meth apiece, every member.
And to play off that, as far as melody is concerned, songs like Marked by Blood and Darkness, Putrid Remains, the absolutely tremolo heavy, The Pinnacle of Suffering, it's just marked with melody all over the place. And it's cool because they use these melodies not only to carry, say, the verse or so, but they're also used in a bunch of tag aspects to mark the groove. Every song has something catchy in it.
Yeah, it's across the board. You definitely have songs that are notably a little bit more brutal or more technical, like Hog Tied in Rope, which I don't know if you need to say in rope, because I would assume you're hog tied with rope.
I don't know. Maybe,
string,
telephone cord,
fishing line.
Yeah.
A decorative scarf. The intestines of your enemy? I don't know. I suppose you can hog tie people with anything, but I don't know. I thought that was, kind of specific. But that song, notably more slow, brooding, the breakdowns on that song.
Ugh.
Yeah, that face.
Ugh.
Pretty much through the entire song.
Yeah.
But it also introduces some more intricate technical riffing. It's a little bit more angular, and man, is it just heavy. It is just a flat-out bruiser of a song, which isn't to take anything away from any of these songs, because all of them are heavy. All of them are insanely heavy, but this one being a little bit more lumbering, there's a little bit more of that brutal death metal aspect to it. It really kind of makes this one stand out. But on the other side of that, in terms of melodic hooks, you have the title track, which, man, that song is just flat out epic. It just has that almost kind of grand sound, like a band like Nile. It sounds bigger, more lavish. There's a great hook in that main riff. It is instantly catchy. And guitar-wise, I would say this is almost like a blend of Vogue from Decapitated and Blasphemer from R Noir, Ultimus, tons of other bands. The dude's just an awesome guitarist. There's frequently good, catchy, distant tags, the end of riffs, but it has that just razor-sharp precision of a absolute chug master like Vogue. And the title track kind of illustrates both sides. It starts off again with that big, epic hook right away. very much along the lines like Morbid Angel, Vader. And then as it goes into the chorus, it's this giant breakdown. Like, absolutely hookier than hell. And then as the song ends, you honestly get some of the coolest melodies on the entire song. And they're like legit very just tuneful and hooky. Like, they don't sound particularly evil. They have just a good melodic hook to them.
Although the beginning of that song, I think, is super evil. I mean, we're talking like Dave Vincent era Morbid Angel. It's just out to get you. The drum work on this song, the drum work on the entire album. I know we spoke about the drummer when we reviewed the EP, but wow. The level of syncopation to match these riffs, because once again, everything's done at the speed of light. The syncopation is insane. And the drum work, man, full of tons of turnovers, snare rolls, the drum turnovers in the pinnacle of suffering. Right as it heads into the bridge, there's this cool start-stop riff, and when they stop the riff, there's these giant drum turnovers, and it plays on every four. Like, every time they stop, he does this massive turnover, and that's just throughout the record. Like, it's insane. Like, I say that about a lot of drummers, but the precision and the accents here that are done within these grooves is top-notch.
Yeah.
Just, woo.
It's absolutely nuts to follow. Like, there's frequently those, like, snare rolls in the blast, like a very Sandovalian thing, which we decided that's a word.
That's a word, Sandovalian.
Sandovalian. That describes a drumming thing that I can't actually describe because I'm not a drummer, but I'm going to use the word Sandovalian.
Yep. Hashtag Sandovalian. Start it.
But as, like, precise and, like, on the nose as this still has, like, good groovy punches and just nasty riffs, like just flat out catchy, hooky, on the nose, just like something you can flat out headbang to when it's not moving a million miles an hour. This album is blast happy as hell, and if you love your death metal like faster than hell, like this is definitely one to check out. But I wouldn't call it meat and potatoes because there's lots of nuance and intricacies to all the riffs. Like, they frequently harmonize riffs. The lead work on here, though they're generally very short leads, they appropriately fit the song well. Like, there's a lot of variety. Like, it's not just a series of dive bombs and, you know, just wow. Like, there's more to it. There's a lot of melody of certain leads. Other leads come across as a little bit more evil and sinister. Other ones are just noisy and angular and vicious. And that syncopation goes along with the vocals, too. The vocals are syncopated so damn well. I really like the vocal cadences, and his flat-out delivery is just commanding as hell.
And another cool thing, because usually really brutal death metal is pockmarked by tons of breakdowns, and there really aren't that many breakdowns in this record, which is cool because when they present them, they hit hard as fuck. Like in Christ Immersion, that breakdown is the most commanding thing ever. Like, both of us, when that hit, both of us were like, yeah.
Well, it's got this, like, cool accent at the end of it. Like, when you think you're going to catch the time of it, it includes this cool little roll at the end. The breakdown at the end of The Death of Everything, like, kind of out of nowhere, like, because that song's moving faster than hell. But at the end, it kind of drops into this, like, really kind of lurching, ugly breakdown. And the fact that they use a good breakdown riff as the chorus, the title track, too. That song is a really cool exercise in, like, different dynamics. You have melody, you have flat-out brutality, and you just have, like, some flat-out catchy, aggressive riffs on it. And that is employed kind of all over this album. Like, honestly, for the life of me, I couldn't find a riff on here that didn't have, like, just some, like, extra character to it. Like, none of these riffs feel stock. They don't feel, like, generic at all. There's always a cool accent or a harmony, and, again, that level of syncopation across it just keeps this thing kind of, like, jumpy and explosive, and it's just, I don't know, constantly out to get you. And again, I would say, like, some songs in here border a little bit more on technical death metal, but not so much in, like, you know, of course, like the noodles and the wankery and all that.
Yeah.
That doesn't show up at all. It's more in the intricacy of the riffs and the transitions. Like, the songwriting here, I think, is just on the nose. There really isn't any song in here where I feel like they kind of, you know, slipped a little bit in the transition. Like,
like,
everything is just going.
Yeah, most of the transitions, it's just like a flat line. Like, it just keeps going. Like, they don't miss a beat when they transition into something crazy.
They can't. Their drummer's a cyborg. You know it.
Yeah, you, sir. God. I feel bad for your calves.
They're mechanical. He's a machine. And production-wise, this is definitely more on the crisp, more modern sound. Like, their previous albums definitely had a lot more grit to them. But honestly, with all the nuance and intricacies in here, it's really refreshing to be able to hear all of it. Like, the guitar tone in here is just crunchified. But you can make out every single note. The drums sit nice in the mix, too. And they drive the album, again, like, you know, right off into the sunset at like 1,000 miles an hour. And I really wish I could tell you who mixed and mastered this. I mean, I could, but I can't pronounce his name because it is so damn Dutch. I know his first name is Mendel, and then the rest of his last name looked like it was one word with a lot of missing letters in it. Dutch is hard. Dutch is so hard, and I am a full-on ignorant American. I didn't even try.
In the past, you've seen us try to attempt Dutch on here.
And Danish and Finnish.
And Danish and Finnish and all that stuff, and I respect you guys for being able to pronounce it, those of you that can.
Or write your name.
Write it? Yeah, dude, what the hell?
Do you have to include all 40 umlauts when you do that in every apostrophe? Like, I don't get it.
Great respect to all of you, but we're not going to try it.
No. But the mix on here, I think, is really solid for what it is. And honestly, again, in comparison to their previous albums, this is probably the most crisp I think they've ever sounded. But at the same time, you know, the music, I wouldn't say is, like, shifted a lot in terms of, like, the style. Like, it's still brutal. It's still fast. But I will say that there is more of a modern death metal sound to this one, and in terms of like how just, again, ridiculously tight this is kind of the only production I think that would really work if you wanted to capture everything.
Yeah, like, I mean, it still sounds like severe torture. They've just dialed it in so, again, tight that it adds just a little bit more dynamic than I think what they had in the past.
Honestly, I would say that this is possibly one of their fastest pace albums. Like, it is breakneck speed throughout most of this, to the point where if the drummer wasn't a cyborg, I'd be worried for his life. But since he's a machine, I'm sure he'll be fine. They just oil him up in between takes.
Here you go, buddy. Go oil can. You're good. And while that's awesome, and I really have no disrespect in that regard, like, it's fucking awesome. It's groovy, but not as much, I guess, as I would have liked. Take, for example, songs like Hogtied and Rope, Christ Immersion. Really, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 tracks, there's groove also mixed in. But a problem that we saw was that a lot of these tend to run together a little bit because they're so fast, and sometimes that groove is sacrificed for, you know, tremolo and harmony and riffing at the speed of light. And, like, I don't know, I just would have liked to have seen more of it. I guess except for the last track, too. I didn't bring up the last track. Tear All the Flesh Off from the Earth. That song leaves behind a little bit of the speed and just makes it pure evil.
It's notably a tonal shift. I mean, it's kind of close to the title track, but it's way more dark, way more sinister. Like, the build up to it is much slower. Like, it does get into blast, but it kind of hits like a groovier pocket with the blasts, and it rides out this really cool melodic riff and lead combo towards the end. In fact, the last 2 minutes of it are all instrumental. And this is one of the few moments where they kind of just like ride out a groove for a long period of time. There's groovy pockets all over here, but generally they're very short-lived because it's off to Blast Town, and we got a blast. Now, that isn't necessarily a dig, but at a certain point, like namely Through Pain and Emptiness and Those Who Wished Me Dead, while I enjoy those songs, because I enjoyed every song in here, honestly, I do feel like they repeated a lot of the same dynamics, like you kind of heard this song earlier in the album. And again, granted, these songs are, more intricate. There's a lot going on in them, a lot of cool riff changes, harmonies, leads, and vocal flourishes. It did feel like they kind of hit like cruise control at that point, but again, like cruise control for this band is 90 miles an hour, and they use the metric system, so it's like, I don't know, 100 and something kilometers. I don't know. I don't want to do math right now. I just want to listen to death metal. And that's what we did, and overall, I really dig this, man. And it kind of fits in the type of comeback album that I like, where you just come out swinging. Like, remind people why they love the band. And this band 100% did that, and maybe even up the ante a little bit in terms of like some aspects of their sound, in terms of the intensity, and maybe even the melody too. I'm going to go ahead and give this 4 stars. I dig the hell out of this. This is kind of like a trip on a bullet train. Like, you are at your destination much quicker than you think you'll be. And with the album's tight runtime and just insanely tight riffing and all that, like, this album blows by, but man, it just kind of leaves you just stunned at how heavy it is. And on the other side of that, it's also catchy. Like, it has surprising amounts of just great melody on here, which I know I said this band is excellent at blending the two, but I think the melodies really jump out on certain tracks here, like namely the title track. The title track is one of the catchiest melodies I think that's on the entire album on it. Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. If you are a fan of bands like Vader, Decapitated, I would even say Nile, and on its heavier side, like maybe like a little bit of like Dying Fetus too. Check this out. This album rips. Welcome back, Severe Torture.
Yeah, no shit. I agree with Nick. It's 4 stars for me too, and I pretty much knew that 2 songs into the album. It's a non-stop, again, bullet train. You can't get a speeding ticket if you can't be caught. Like, you know, you get a really fast car. I don't know, I drive a Saturn Ion, so I don't have much room to talk about fast cars. But this record absolutely slays. Way more melodic than I thought it would be. Like, I don't remember Severe Torture being quite this tuned into melody in their songs. Like, every single song has some sort of catchy hook to it, which I didn't really expect either. Tons of melody. The brutality really isn't sacrificed all that much, albeit there's a couple songs that run together. It's all right. Like, the whole record is just fucking awesome. The drum work is amazing. It's, again, very obvious that you skipped neither leg day nor arm day. If you weren't T1000, I'd be really worried about you.
That's how many beats per minute, right? 1,000?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, 1,000 beats per minute.
I knew it.
Move over AI core or whatever it is, because the drummer of Severe Torture has got you. Yeah, pretty much I liked every song. Non-stop headbanging, overwhelming brutality. Again, not full of breakdowns, but when they do hit, man, do they hit. Yeah, what a comeback. After 14 years, this is what you bring back to the table. I mean, granted, we got a little bit of piece of it on the EP, and yeah, we just saw you do it live, so we know you're capable, but this is a hell of a return album. If you're a fan of Severe Torture, you're gonna like this. If you're a fan of Suffocation, Cattle Decap, Morbid Angel, Decapitated, Origin, Decrepit Birth, they pull from a lot of camps. So yeah, definitely check this out. I highly recommend it. I most certainly will be jamming this record more in the future.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. It is also in our channel up in the banner in the bottom right-hand corner. But if you're looking for Thralls Metal stuff, you have to go to thrallsmetal.com. We have t-shirts, both old and new. The old ones are discounted, provided we have your size. And we even have hats, too. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, click the link down below.
Certainly, last but not least, we got a ton of stuff coming for you at Thralls of Metal, be it album reviews. I think we're finally going to sit down and film the Meshuggah ranking, and that's going to be a lot of fun to talk about Meshuggah, because all of us have definitely been influenced by that band over the years, as I'm sure a lot of you have. Got States of Metal, got whatever crap he's working on, collection updates, because you know this guy collects music at an insane pace. I'm not even going to get into it. But really, all of what we do here at Thralls of Metal, we do for you guys. We genuinely appreciate you and thank you for continuing to follow and support Thralls of Metal. To all of our subscribers, all of our newcomers, welcome. We appreciate you. But yeah, it was awesome running into a whole ton of you at Maryland Death Fest. We just love all you guys, really. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing doing this. It's amazing running into fans. And yeah, tons more coming on the horizon. So one more big thank you, and we will catch you later.